Well, we're going to find out where Seth Rollins, where he is going to be going. The answer is not Japan because he's been removed from this weekend's Sumo Hall cards. He was originally advertised to be taking on CM Punk the first night and then a six-man with Division against Punk, Jay, and Nakamura. So that those lineups have been updated to now reflect Punk against Dominic night one and then Punk and Nakamura. What a team against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. With Seth Rollins, Dave Meltzer has reported that he is expected to be having shoulder surgery. We have not independently confirmed that, but there's also been no pushback to that assertion. I think generally everybody believes this is a legitimate injury, and just the way everything was handled on Monday would suggest that. And that's where things stand with Seth Rollins. And the fact that they went ahead with the angle on Monday would tell you that, you know, it like not even waiting a week to make sure of like how badly this injury is. Like they have kind of just, you know, they hit the nuclear option and blew up the group. And, you know, that would be the expectation that Seth Rollins is going to be missing a not insignificant amount of time if they're going to these lengths.
Yeah.
And how that changes like the rest of your next couple of months. Like this, you know, Rollins Punk match was right on the horizon for you.
Yeah, right now we're, I mean, like 4 or 5 months away from WrestleMania, and not just the show itself, but having to tell all your stories and all your, you know, major plot points that I'm sure they were going to have throughout Survivor Series towards the Rumble and all that. And without your principal player involved, you certainly have to pivot. So very bad timing, never good timing, but, you know, especially now. Of course, most people are assuming that it was the coast to coast headbutt, which was the reason for this particular injury.
The first time we have you ever seen that maneuver before?
So, I mean, it was so unusual, period. But especially for Seth Rollins, who doesn't even employ a headbutt in his repertoire normally, that I thought it was only done to lead to a worked injury that he was going to sell out throughout the rest of the match. Well, he was selling it, but he wasn't really selling. He was actually, turns out, from what we believe, legitimately injured. So unusual that move was sort of like thought up, period. I'd love to hear him speak on that. I also find it interesting that he did physicality on Monday.
Yep.
Took that spear, took that tsunami. So what sort of injury is it? Is it the type of injury like the Cody Peck tear where they say, hey, you're going in for surgery anyway, why not? You know, we can't fuck it up any more than it already is. So still some questions related to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Monday will give a lot more clarity. I don't imagine there will be too much related to Rollins' stories moving forward on SmackDown, but Raw Monday is in Sacramento, and you would think, you know, we'll at least know the direction probably for Saturday night's main event, because that's coming up on November 1st. Like, I would think you pretty much have to get that main event lined up, what Punk is doing, because you only have the following week to push that show.
Well, what do you think the play would be?
On the Post Wrestling Cafe this month, John Pollock and Wei Ting sit down for a new edition of Talk. We are also going back to 1992 to look at the G1 climax from that year. Rich Vann and WH Park are getting together to review Peacemaker Season 2 and look at Marvel Zombies. Plus, we have Book Club detailing Kamala Harris's new release, 107 Days, weekly editions of Collision Course, and the XL versions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. All can be found at postwrestlingcafe.com. Well, in theory, you have a vacated title. So, I mean, you could certainly like blow up plans for Survivor Series and punt until then to decide a new champion, or you may just want to get the belt on someone quick and you make that the focus of Saturday night's main event. You know, you've created a contender in Punk, but you don't really have a ready-made opponent for him. I would say it's way too early to be looking at like Braun Breaker, for instance, but like maybe they're like one of like the Brawns are just going to get jettisoned into Rollins' position. You could go with Brock in that role too.
Yeah, you certainly can.
Like this does show you as well, like, you know, with the exception of like Breaker and Bronson, but like the heel side is not all that deep on either show. Like you have Drew McIntyre, like you have guys, but it's a massive gap when you're taking out Seth Rollins and you realize how many different stories he was aligned with, like whether it be long-term with Roman, short-term with CM Punk, all the stuff of elevating Breaker and Reed. So it's a big hole, and there's definitely an opportunity for another big heel or two to rise up. I would look at Breaker and Reed as two of those key guys that will definitely benefit from this breakup, and they're going to put as much steam on them as possible.
Yeah. The Brock question is interesting because, I mean, they already, if they wanted to add that star power to the group, I mean, they already have set things up with Heyman's association with Brock Lesnar and that sort of dangling mystery. But what would that do for Braun Breaker to be in a group with somebody like a Brock Lesnar who's very much of the same mold and who might just sort of, slow him down and put him more into a sort of secondary position like he was with Rollins? So curious to see how that might play out. I'm curious to see if, like, what happens with Becky Lynch. She's a member of this group. She's entirely tied to Seth Rollins. I don't assume she's part of the group now that, these two turned on her husband. So what does that make of her character? Does she stay being a heel or does she turn babyface? She should want revenge, shouldn't she?
Braun Breaker versus Becky Lynch.
Sign me up.